Hi, my name is Matthew. I'm with Norcom Mortgage and here with Fran with Reliant Fish Company. We're here picking up fish for the paella, seafood of all kinds. Best ingredients come from Fran.
So we're here at Mercadito Express getting chorizo, authentic chorizo for a paella. It's pretty good stuff. We're gonna go inside and get some now.
So first step we're gonna do is prepare the lobsters to make the lobster broth. And first thing we have to do is kill the lobster. So we're gonna drive the knife right through the back of it. So now that we have taken care of the lobsters, we're going to steam them. This will cook the meat and also give us the base for the broth.
So we got these bad boys. They were flash frozen, U-10-15 from the good old Gulf of Mexico. And we're about to start taking these and peeling them, making sure that they're all ready and set to go.
So lobsters are done now. We're gonna take them out, put them in this bowl right here to cool down. After they've cooled down, we're gonna remove the meat and start working on the broth for the rice.
All right, next step is breaking down the chicken so we can clean it and get it marinated for the paella. This beautiful cleaver here. Next step is breaking down the pork shoulder, where you cut it and season it and marinate it.
All right, so now we're gonna go season the meat that Samson has cut up for us. We have sweet paprika, hot paprika, oregano, salt, whole peppercorns ground up. We're just gonna go ahead and sprinkle this on. Samson's gonna go ahead and get it mixed for us. Don't wanna go too hot, so we have a nice mix of sweet and spicy.
Now that we have the pork and chicken marinated, we're gonna cover it up, put it in the fridge for an hour and a half, but longer is better.
All right, so now for the stock, we're going to add a few ingredients. We're gonna add salt, pepper, fennel, celery, carrots, onions, bay leaves, all kinds of good stuff to make it taste good. All right, so now we're gonna remove the meat from the shell. We're gonna use the shells to make the stock, and the meat will go in the paella at the end. All right, so now that we've got the celery, carrots, and onions going, medium, low temperature, nice and soft, we're gonna add in lobster shells to help get that seafood flavor that we're looking for in the broth. So one other thing we're gonna do is take some of the shrimp shells that we peeled earlier and mix these in. This will just give an extra layer of flavor to the broth that we're making.
Alrighty, so next up we have little neck clams. And first thing you want to do is you're going to fill this bowl up, add salt to it, so that way we can purge all the sand out of these bad boys so we're not eating any of that bad stuff.
What we have here is the calamari tubes and tails. This is the delicacy here. Just going to simply separate these tubes right here. Go ahead, we got to check for membranes in here, make sure it's all cleaned out. And we're going to cut those up into about 1/4-inch pieces and separate them in the bowls.
So now we're gonna prepare some parsley for when we get everything moving on the grill. Just ripping off the leaves from these super thick stems. You don't want these in. And once I get all these removed, I'm gonna start chopping.
All right, so what we're doing here is getting the whole tomatoes without the peel on them, squeezing all the moisture out. That way when we hit it on the pan, it could dry out, goes with the rice and the garlic, and it gets all toasty. That way we can get all the other ingredients in there. All right, so we're going authentic here. Getting some nice tomatoes, cutting them very nicely here in quarters for the ambiance and the taste of the paella.
All right, so we're just cutting up some onions nice and fine. Gonna mix them into the oil. Getting a little teary-eyed cutting them up, but just right through. All right, so now that the broth is done cooking and all the flavor is infused in it, we're gonna take this strainer right here and run it through to get all the big pieces out. So we got the pan fired up, oil's in it, getting heated up right now. First thing we're gonna do is add in the meat, get it nice and brown before we take it out and get on to the next step. So right now we're just trying to brown the meat. Doesn't need to cook all the way through just yet because it's gonna be cooked together with the rice and everything else. Just wanna get nice color and texture on the meat. So now we've removed the meat, put it in the buckets. Meat is cooked. We have now put in onions and we're gonna add garlic and parsley before we put the rice in, and tomatoes. So now we're gonna add the rice. This is Bomba, straight from Spain. Gonna be 3 cups of broth for 1 cup of rice. All right, so now that we have the rice nice and toasted, we're gonna add in the broth. We have 8 cups of rice, so we're gonna do 16 scoops of broth. All right, so now we're adding the calamari, tubes and tentacles that we cleaned up earlier. Just want to make sure these cook all the way through as the rice cooks. So now that this has been going, rice has been cooking for a few minutes now, we're gonna add in the clams so they open up before everything's done. We just find a good place for these, put them right in. So now rice is getting close to being done. We're adding in the scallops and shrimp, which cook very quickly, so they won't get overdone at the end of the process here. All right, so now that we have the scallops and shrimps in the paella cooking, we're gonna add on these pre-cooked lobster tails and claws. Put these just right on top. As they're already cooked, we just want to warm them up a little bit. All right, so here is our finished product. Looks great, can't wait to eat it. Hope you all enjoyed watching this installment of Norcom Cooks, and thank you.